gosh, oh my deed, and welcome to this Thursday, today's Thursday, stream of Las Plumas de Simur. My name is Plumas, and I am here, but I'm not here alone, for I am joined with the thickest, biggest, fattest, piece of work that I ever conveyed in my entire life. I'm talking none other than my thesis herself, because today Mamodreta comes to the stream, for we are talking about something I'm always delighted to just chat about, which are birds, mythology, and both combined. And yes, I'm very excited because for today I'm going to be reading from you straight from my thesis. And this is straight from my thesis, as in properly straight from my thesis, because for last week's stream I had to translate, of course, because this is written in English. However, now it's like reading a story to you, my own words. It's exciting. I am very excited to show it to you. Of course, I'm going to, cut, trim, nip here and there, because I don't want to give you the full, dead-ass, boring, strong, opinionated, academic research paper that I had to write. I was demanded to write for the thesis, but definitely we're going to talk about a lot of birds, a lot of Zoroastrianism, Mazdaism, and multiple beautiful golden things. Hello, nosotros. I hope work is not, I hope work is not too tiring. I hope work is not. You should, this instant, stop. Don't work anymore. Your boss is going to understand. When you tell them to your boss, listen, had to stop here. Why? Because I had to attend a masterclass regarding birds in the Avesta. They're going to understand, and if they don't, they don't know still the wonders contained in the magnificent Avesta, in the Horda Avesta, which we are going to discuss here today. But not the only one. We're going to talk a lot about sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I am excited. Salam, Umberto. Hello there, doctor. Hello there, doctor. Did you know, Bucha, that Umberto is also our Umberto, nuestro Umberto, is also a doctor? If you didn't, I was super happy to boast, my friends. And to me, Umberto is one of the smartest creatures to ever tread the surface of planet Earth. And oh my god, I was going to reveal what your thesis was about. Just please stop me, because I cannot stop boasting my own friends. I love doing that. Aye, Captain, my Captain. How are you, Pichu? It's glorious to have you here. And are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for some birds? I am looking, if you see me looking upwards, like that direction, is because up to yesterday afternoon, we've had our neighbors and doing some kind of reformation and refurbishing, but mostly using a drill. But so often that I am doubtful they have enough walls or whatever they're building on the house to cover or to perforate with a drill, because I was listening to the audio from yesterday's live stream, and you're right, you can't perceive the drill, yet I could hear it, like, in my mind, because I know exactly when it started. So I'm very happy it did not disturb you listening yesterday. I'm honest to that. But today they've been fairly quiet. They've been calmed and chill, and that is something I truly appreciate. No, he's not. Kaikavu's not drilling his way out of prison again. So I am happy to keep the situation that way. So neighbors, if you're listening to me, please, it's just going to be roughly an hour, perhaps a wee bit more. Just don't. You haven't been drilling for the whole day. Please do not start now. 6 p.m. is not a good time to start drilling. Take it from me. And of course, as per usual, we have two things. One is my mana cup, because my mana needs to be restored, and that's definite. And also my water bottle, because I keep multiple drinks by my side, and yeah. And it's not hot today, because it's not hot, but it's not chill either. It's one of those very weird days. However, oh, Corinthians, this is still playing. I apologize for that. We are going to be talking about birds in the Avesta myth. And to be fair, must say not just the Avestan, but the Zoroastrian mythology. And of course, I'm going to give an introduction, but I need to confess something beforehand, and this is I don't have images, in the sense that not a single piece of art is preserved of these birds, or at least not pieces of art that we can actually trace to Salam Nana, not actually pieces of art that intentionally were created with the will to represent these birds we're going to talk about. Definitely there must be something, because the internet is vast and unexplored. It remains uncharted. But I don't want to just show any piece of art for the sake of doing so and then telling you, oh yeah, this is for sure these birds, blah blah blah, because if we don't know, I think that is misleading for you. So what we will be doing is looking for birds that match the description. I didn't save the ones from the last stream because I didn't think that was necessary. I can Google birds again, and that's pretty much it actually. And I'm super excited. I'm just very, very excited. So let me talk about her for a bit. My thesis covered a lot of topics, and that is both fantastic and very tiring, because it was a very hard exercise. One I do not regret, though. I would do this again. I was asked after finishing, like 1 month or 2 after finishing my thesis, after being finished entirely, as in going through my Viva and doing all my corrections and everything, and all the marking was done. When I was given the title, I was asked, would you do this again? Because I was, utterly tired. And then I realized, despite all the effort and despite all the tears and sweat and sleepless nights, I would 100% do this again. These thesis has opened so many doors, windows, and back doors for me, has taught me so much, and has given me the opportunity to just to have a drink, a wee sip of many different waters. And Mazdanism was not one of them, because I had researched Mazdaism beforehand, because one is a nerd, one is a very big nerd, and yes, strange mythologies are my jam on toast with a cooper. So yeah, I definitely researched Zoroastrianism beforehand. Salam, Emmanuel. And but I was so excited when I suggested the inclusion of a Zoroastrian dedicated, like a full chapter dedicated to just Zoroastrianism and the importance and relevance of birds. And both my directors, my supervisor said yes, like straight ahead, yes, go do it. And oh my God, I went a bit footloose, but because there's so much. There's so much, and we're not even aware of this. And I'm going to say this. Every single stream, I have a feeling I mentioned this, but yet again, you know what? I'm going to share a thought I had the other day. And this is that because I am we could say public figure, in the sense that I engage with people and I talk to people, talk to you, I must be always polite and presentable and approaching and nice, overall nice. And something happened, and has been happening for the past streams, that got me thinking. And I realized that this channel is not a democracy. Not at all. It's my kingdom. It is my mountain. So if someone annoys me, as delegate queen, because Simorg is a true queen of the heavens, I have all the right in the world to kick them out. And so the same goes for Patreon, Discord, or any other platform in which I am in control. I'm not saying this because I'm going to start kicking you butcher out, but I am saying this because it's true, and I need to remind myself that this is not a democracy. Some people are paying money, so this is happening. Therefore, I am here to deliver content of the utmost quality, of the utmost research, and something I'm a big expert on. However, should someone annoy me, should someone not play by the rules I consider they should be playing, that is a big bye-bye. Bye-bye. Love you to ta. And that thought was freeing. So freeing. And again, it's not like something occurred that got me, something particular. It was much more like something came up, just the thought popped up in my mind. What is that? All hail Bon Bishan, Bon Bishnu Plumas. What in the name of the Yazatas is that? Bon Bishnan. I don't know the meaning of that word, but I'm very happy to learn it. And possibly it's something to do with the Sassanids, which Umberto likes, and I do not. I'm lying. I do like the Sassanids. I do like the Sassanids. I do. And so yeah, it's just that food for thought, something I wanted to share with you. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Birds, Mazdaism, and Wonders. Title of the Sassanid Queen of Queens. Oh, thank you. Oh, I like that. Oh, it's born from Banu Bishnan. Oh, I still like Shahanshah better though. Because Banu, it's still the daughter of someone, you know? I like it, yet it doesn't do it for me. So, first, of course, context. Because there's a lot. I'm not going to... All right, I said that I was going to read through my thesis, but I'm going to skim quite a lot because there is so much in it. It's... Let me just count the pages. It's roughly... almost 30 pages of birds in the Zoroastrian mythology, and I'm going to kill you if I read word by word what's written in here. So, no. Do you like a t-shirt? Which, if you met me when we met in Madrid, you've seen, because, yes, all hail the empire. And I'm not going to read everything by heart, of course not, because if I do that, I'm just going to kill you by boredom or exhaustion, or maybe both of them. And I wanted to give you a wee bit of context because, yet again, saying birds in the Avesta, birds in Zoroastrianism is like saying absolutely nothing. Because, first of all, it could be this is the first time you ever hear about the Avesta. And that's entirely fine. This could be the first time you ever heard about anything remotely Iranian connected, and that is also fine. So I'm going to do a wee bit of a generic context, and then I'm going to pinpoint which text actually we're going to talk about. However, I'm not going to thoroughly speak about any of the texts' writing conditions, that is. I'm not going to delve into the production of these works or nothing of the sorts. We're going to focus on birds. Maybe if it's interesting, I always keep thinking I need to do this. But if it's interesting for you, I could also create another stream. I could do another stream where we talk only and exclusively about the production of a Western text. But that is enough of words without a meaning. First and foremost, what is the Avesta? The Avesta is the corpus of texts sacred or considered sacred to the religion we called either Mazayasna, Mazdaism, or Zoroastrianism, which is a religion that was extremely popular in the Iranian plateau with the Achaemenid dynasty, the Parthian dynasty, not so much with the Seleucids, but it was there. The Sasanian dynasty was the first one to make it the official religion of their kingdom, and then it left and maintained its presence in Iran-e-Bozorg, which is called the Persianate, the Greater Iran, until today, because today there are still living communities of Zoroastrian. How do you say this? Humberto, what's the word? Practitioners? Como practicantes? People that still are devoted to the religion? Which is the word that we would use in English? I always take so much advantage that Humberto is basically multilingual and is here. Practicing. Okay, so practicing Zoroastrian. In Spanish, we would say practicante, which is like the practitioner, the one that practices. So, belly. Is that a Basque word, Pichu? I don't know that one. I believe it. Okay. I think you were saying something in euskera. And is belly something in euskera? Because it entirely sounds like that. So these corpus of texts, all right, in these Zoroastrian sources, we preserve a great quantity of pre-Islamic mythology and folklore, some of them more ancient than Zoroastrianism itself. And the evidence of the birds being relevant and important is just there. It just takes one reading to learn about that. And these relevance, the importance of these texts relays on that they would prepare the background for the creation after of what would be the Shahnameh and Simurgh centuries after that. I'm not saying that Simurgh originates from a very specific bird in Zoroastrianism or Zoroastrian tradition, meaning like, this is the bird that originated Simurgh. Rather, it's much more a combination of characteristics and deeds from different creatures and different birds performing, different activities. Salon Dev, are you all right? And traditionally, Simurgh has been linked to two birds that we're going to talk about both. However, I've included so much more. When I was researching my thesis, I could not stop myself because I feel every single bird has its importance. And also, again, reinforces the idea for the folklore that birds hold a very important position in the cosmic order, which is exactly what later would become Simurgh in the Shahnameh. And not only Simurgh, but other birds. I'm thinking about Huma. I'm thinking about Anka herself. One day we should talk about Anka. She's also in my thesis. Well, of course. And we have so many sources. The collection of information required a wide variety of texts and work from all within the Zoroastrian literary tradition. And however, the whole corpus I was talking about, the whole Avesta, what we consider the sacred text for the Mazdaean religion, was composed in different stages and experimented countable modifications through time. And the content results from different backgrounds because it's not the same writing something in, say, the 5th century after Common Era, the 7th, the 10th, or even the 16th. And this is all the stages the Zoroastrian sources went through. And some of the texts we're going to talk about today include some of the eldest texts composed in both Old and Young Avestan language. The Yasna, super important text, one of the earliest we preserve, which are supposedly much more like instructions, if you know what I mean. They were instructions to perform the religion, meaning they would be formulas. And in here, let us talk about something which is also super important. See, sometimes that the fact that a culture does not produce written works, in the eyes of a very, very mechanical-oriented Western point of view, that might suggest that this culture is not as advanced or as refined. Whereas, let me tell you something, Butcha, in history, in art history, a culture does not create something they do not require. And that is fundamental, pivotal for the information. 1 second, yes. I'm back. There's someone staring at me. A Jinn! And by the way, if you see the lights flicker... Oh, wait. If you see the lights flicker, that's because Jinigo is having the time of his life playing with my lighting. If not, thank you, Jinigo. We appreciate your effort. Well, apparently someone wants to learn about the Avesta too. Oh, no. Full house, as I should call this live stream. Full house. So... what was I saying? Oh yeah, the fact that a culture, they do not produce something, they do not produce something they don't need. Why do I say this? Because the Zoroastrian belief is not something that was created ex professo, I mean on purpose, when the books were put down into written works. These religion can be traced back like to 1,000 years prior to anything was put into words, into written words. And that is because everything was transmitted orally. because they didn't need to read it. They didn't need a manual. They knew what to do, and repetition and the custom of performing these rites every single day and every single month, that permeated and traversed the social unconscious and stayed in their minds, meaning they did not require a piece of text to read from. The Sasanians, however, regarded how difficult the transmission of the religion had been, especially since after the Achaemenids, something happened. And for reasons, a lot of inscriptions, a lot of prayers, and a lot of formulas were lost to time. Then we have the Parthians, which did, we don't know what job the Parthians did in preserving the religion, because if anything, the Parthian period is eclectic to its most wonderful extent. I love the Parthians. I think they don't get the credit they deserve, but source-wise, it's difficult to approach the Parthians and trying to guess or venture how much the Zoroastrian religion was important or relevant to them, when actually the religious panorama was varied and colorful, and you had different temples to different deities, to different religions in every single corner of the Parthian territory. Then the Sasanians decided, you know what, we need a manual, we need rules. And I'm going to give you a hint. When these people started giving rules, is because they wanted to undertake a religious reform, because someone, wink wink, Umberto, can you tell us who that someone could be, wanted to exert a control over the whole territory. Imagine the both powers, religion and political power, and both under one same person, whose name shall be not discarded. It's just, Umberto, give me a hand. I don't remember the number of these creatures. Why? Because people tend to give names to kings that are always the same. Is this the fourth or the fifth? I don't remember if he is the fourth or the fifth, but it's definitely Abraham. Or Shapur. No, it's Abraham. Umberto, ayuda, socorro. I forget. Nevertheless, I mean, my point is that the fact that a country, a culture, a specific dynasty, my boss released me. Maybe the birds argument, maybe I'm definitely positive it was because you told him you had to go listen to some birds. The point is that if a culture does not produce something, it's because they don't need it. So yes, in the list of sources we're going to talk about today, we have the yasnas, the yasht, which are my favorite. The yasht are wonderful. They are hymns to the deities, to different yazatas. And then we have the vendidad, which is a description of so-and-so. The vendidad is much more like a reflective, philosophical treatise, but it's also super interesting to read. And also we have the liturgical books and all stereo works dealing with the aspects of the culture and not so much with religion itself, like the Bundahezen, which is the big encyclopedia that encapsulates the cosmological thought, or the Andars literature. The Andars literature is what we would call the advice pieces of books, which basically they're written very similarly to a dialogue where a question is posed and then the writer attempts to address it and answer it in the best way possible. Bahram first, says Umberto, starts the religious persecution, but Shapur the second formalizes things. I think I'm thinking about Bahram though. I think I'm definitely thinking about Bahram. Anywho, okay, dates. When? We have the where. When? We don't know, because giving an exact date to the Zoroastrian sources is very, very difficult, because owing to the availability and nature of the sources, the dates of composition, and even compilation, because they're not the same. Some works are compiled and some works are originally written. Do you follow me? It's not the same as sitting down to gather in a piece of work all the sayings, all advices your grandma used to tell you when you were little, or just producing an entirely new work, maybe also about advices, but that is not based on anything in particular. It's just your own creation. So the range is as extreme as variating from the 7th century before Common Era. Not even the Achaemenids existed yet. Not even Kuroshibozorg was thought to be in the world. To the 5th century Common Era. And that is just the earliest versions, because then we have all the books produced in like from the 11th century onwards, and that is just fantastic, and I love it. So again, bear in mind that Zoroastrian literature existed for centuries as a purely oral phenomenon, and that helped a lot. Why is this? Because after the military conquest of this someone that happened, and yes, I'm talking about Iskandar Bozorg, and then the Arabs after that, many texts were destroyed, but the oral reports survived, which is something super important as well. And all right, so I know I've said that the 7th century before Common Era is the earliest we can trace back the sources. However, the oldest manuscript that we preserved, the date is 1288. And I know you're going to tell me, Plumas, but that is so late. It's like, it's almost a millennia late. I know. But the date of compilation, remember, is not the same as the date of completion. The writing time was 1, and then I used this example in the Spanish live stream, and it worked so well, so I'm going to use it again. Imagine you are going to read Lord of the Rings. Which date was Lord of the Rings published? Imagine my own edition of Lord of the Rings is from, I think it was, because one of you which has the same one. It's a pinky one with the Battle of Isengard with the March of the Ents that's like just represented on the cover. And I think this edition is from 1989. However, the book was not composed. Oh, thank you for the description, Dev. The book was not written, was not even published in 1989. It was published in like somewhere the 40s or the 50s. I don't remember exactly, but you get my point. The publication date does not refer the writing date, because the first publication of Lord of the Rings, again, I think is let's just Google that. Lord of the Rings publication date. Oh, it's 1954. So 1954 would be the date of the original work, when the original work was completed. However, through the years and decades, we have multiple editions of Lord of the Rings, and every year we come up with a new one, different, with more illustrations, with more maps, without maps, smaller, paperback, hardback, and all of them have a different date on them. So if someone today purchased a 2022 edition of Lord of the Rings, they, however, would not think that Lord of the Rings was written, composed in 2022. No, they would know, oh, this is an older book. So in case of the Western sources, it happens exactly the same. The date of the manuscript, the date of the source itself, does not reflect the date when it was first completed. It's not exactly that remake, the remaster. If you play video games, you know the difference between a remaster and a remake. In this case, we'll be talking about a remaster. If that was too niche, I apologize. Go back to the Lord of the Rings metaphor. It sounded like Metapod for once in my head. I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but I know Metapod. So again, as I was telling you, dating physical sources does not really contribute to clarify when the texts were first created. And a source written down in the 8th or the 9th or the 10th century may contain information transmitted over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And on the other hand, some of the 6th century text on a first sight considered more ancient could present a different and later manner and content. Was that Umberto? How do we know the writing date? Is it all the sources and comparison between the text and manuscript? We do this thanks to the wonderful job of linguists. First of all, they're written in Old Avestan. We know for a fact that people did not speak Old Avestan in the Sasanian dynasty. No one did. Tops, they read it, but no one spoke it. It was not a spoken language anymore. And by comparing to all the inscriptions and all the sources dating back, the shape of the words, the form in which grammar works, can significantly point towards when the works were compiled and written for the first time. Also, a matter of formulas, a matter of references, a matter of structure, what they choose to put before and what after. For example, do they reference first the Yazata the date is dedicated to, or do they always put Ahura Mazda first? If they put Ahura Mazda first, that indicates the text is older, because in the Sasanian and later sources, the order was inverted. First will be, oh, praise be Anahita, goddess of sweet waters, and also be praised Ahura Mazda, creator of the world. Why do you put Anahita first is important. However, if you go back, most probably the Yazata is not even mentioned, and the formula just says, be praised Ahura Mazda, Lord and Creator, head of the Mazdian pantheon, blah, 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 and all that formula. Hi, Letty. So we know that via language comparison, as you said, and also grammar, syntaxis, structure, and a myriad of things that entirely escape my knowledge because I am a terrible linguist. I am, unfortunately, but very fortunately for me, I'm just I am just an art historian. Are there monarchs, ask Pichu, or the contemporary people mentioned on the versions? Not really in the Zoroastrian text, like this, the sacred text. Oh, thank you, Letty. That is fantastic. Oh, thank you for the sub. Half a year. Oh my God. Thank you. You are estupenda. The Zoroastrian texts do not mention current kings. They repeat formulas, and there's one king that they mention quite often, which is Beshtasp, which is a mythical king. And it is true that later texts, for example, the Bundahishan, the Menoi Kharad, the selections of Zadsprom, I love the selections of Zadsprom. Those mention all the later Iranian kings and heroes. More than kings are heroes that then would become important and relevant for the Shahnameh and the Iranian literary tradition. But they don't rely on current kings so much. We don't have a verse in the Avestan, so like formulas that says, oh, all be praised Bahram II, Shapur el Primero, Xerxes, or Artaxerxes III, blah, blah, blah. No, we don't. And this is because the formulas are always the same. They remain unchanged. There's a certain way of practicing Mazdaism and to perform what will be the normal daily office of the service. And that does not include kings or queens or princes or anything. It's the same. And that is very helpful. So, there's a lot of discussion about what happened to the books of the Avestan, but maybe we can talk about that in all the moments. And I think this is as much as an introduction as we need. Well, let me mention before jumping right into the buzz, because it's been 45 minutes talking and saying absolutely nothing, as per usual. That is also my style. It is a capacity, an acquired capacity, being able to speak so much and saying so little. And is that I mentioned Old Avestan and Young Avestan as the languages, but we also have Middle Persian and Pahlavi script in a time span delivered by Medivois, which is one of the most brilliant scholars about Zoroastrian studies, from 300 before Common Era to mid-10th century Common Era, like 950 Common Era. And then Carlo Ceretti, which is another scholar that I really enjoy reading, he reduces the time frame of these Middle Persian / Pahlavi works between the 9th and the 10th century. But it's, for us, is not really that important. And I think we can start. What do you think? I'm going to Google our first beautiful creature. All right. I picked this one. Oh, this one's lovely. Oh, I really like this one. It's so cute and tiny. I think we're going with this one. Yeah, we are going with this one. Butcher, be amazed by the very first feathered protagonist of today's session. Meet Karshift, the blackbird. Look at that beak. It's so pretty. This is what is this? A Turdus merula, a blackbird. Apparently a black songbird, which is always fantastic because Karshift has one thing he does, and this deed was bringing the revelation of Zoroastrian belief into the mythical fortress excavated directly in the mountain because, I mean, dwarves, apparently, by King Yima, the mythical King Yima. All right, let me just summarize this very quickly. There was going to be this multiple account of the flood. In Zoroastrian mythology, that is not an exception, and you have your tale about the flood. However, in Zoroastrianism, it's not so much a flood as in a very heavy rain, and there's a particular word in Spanish that works very well, but I don't know if it exists. No, it just says a flood, but it's not a flood, it's a riada. Okay, it's when a river just overflows, but it's not the flood as in Noah's flood. I'm just me estoy yendo. I'm getting back. Okay, so there is accounts from a flood, and then the mythical King Yima was instructed to create a sacred sort of haven, like a sanctuary for everyone to take refuge in there, and he did so. And up to there, in the Vara, which is the name of the mythical fortress, the bird Karshift flew and made mankind aware of Zaratosh's message by, and hear me out, reciting the whole Avesta in the language of birds. The whole thing. And this is because Karshift was given the power of speech, which is a massive deed. And according to the Bundahezen, to the Iranian encyclopedia, Karshift is considered to be the chief of all birds in creation. And according to the scholar Zéline Redard, the name of Karshift derives from the Avestan word Karshiptar, literally meaning the black-winged. And the power of speech is so important, also because it tells you that Yima could understand the language of birds, which connects to Solomon and to many other things later in Sufism. Yima, if you didn't know this, is later Jamshid. Everything's connected, and I love it. And now, identifying Karshift with a real species, it is still a challenge. In a translation, Karshift is presented as a falcon, but since the name of the bird specifies its black color, it would be wrong to be associated with a falcon, because we don't know much about a black falcon in Zoroastrianism. However, we know of a white falcon. We will talk about it later. And the selections of that Pram is the only text where the bird appears identified as a species of like a waterfowl or something like that. Then all the scholars propose a relationship with a crow or a raven based on mythological parallel with the Armenian tale of the hero Meher and the Raven Rock. In this tale, again, very quickly, a raven guided the hero Meher to his destiny, and this will be linked to the bird's role as a messenger and a spiritual guide in Indo-European myths. However, there is no indication of these raven being able to speak. And that is Karshev's whole thing. I mean, the thing for Karshev is that he is able to speak. And that doesn't appear. I want to say this before we advance. Sometimes these creatures are like strongly based in real species, but that doesn't mean they're intentionally so. People are very creative. Imagination is definitely a thing in the world, not only now, but in Iranian mythology too, is quite recurrent. So this means that many of the things can be composite or just based on something the authors of the works deemed very cool. For example, I too believe, have you ever seen or heard a raven speak? It is impressive. They mimic so well the human speech. So that is the only reason I'm inclined to think Karshev could be inspired by a raven. But also, since the text specifies it used the language of birds and not just the human language, maybe it was some kind of a songbird. Maybe it was some kind of, again, waterfowl. I'm going to show you a waterfowl. Let me see. Oh, this one's very cute. This one's very pretty. Oh, look at that. I mean, I know it's not black, but it's very, very, very cute. I like this. I like the waterfowl. Oh, look at that. Is there such thing as a black waterfowl? Well, very metal. I like it. I like the selection over here. Yeah. And that is Karshev. And the first one of the many. Oh my god, this stream is going to be eternal, isn't it? Okay, now, which one did I use? Let me cheat very quickly. Just a moment. Just a moment. Let me see. Let's look like, yeah. Let me see, what did I actually use in the Spanish live stream? This is Karshev. Is this the one I used for the other one? Is it? I don't think so. Wait. Am I cheating? Of course I am cheating, but again, this is my house. And the middle of the street, my house. And I think I use this one for our next creator. Yeah, so I'm going to use the same because it's just an excuse, a good excuse. Am I going to use the same picture? Do I have a better one? This one's beautiful. Oh my god. Gorgeous creatures. Quality is not great though. Let me see if I... Oh, there you go. So the next creature we're going to talk about is the bird Camarrouge. And Camarrouge is extremely connected with something we're going to talk about in a few weeks, which is the question about Eustaquio, the Senmurv, and why on earth, when you Google Simurg, a dog appears, and the whole shebang with people not knowing what things are and therefore naming things the wrong way and created confusion that we are still, dealing with during these days. However, today we're going to focus on a beautiful bird, which is Camarrouge. Camarrouge fulfills an important task as a protective spirit, according to the Bundahizen. And one of the versions of the text explains that the bird, this Camarrouge, perches on the peak of Mount Alborz, which is a sacred mountain, and every 3 years, people from non-Iranian lands assemble to attack Iran. When they are sacking the villages, the Azada Burj, don't mess with Burj, arises from a lake and sends Camarrouge to attack the land of these non-Iranians to protect Iran and take revenge. And the most common image of the text is Camarrouge, described picking up these lands and these humans as a bird picks up seeds or corn, and then absolutely, of course, throwing and tossing them around, which that leads to these invaders to meet a terrible end because they fall from many meters up tall. And however, according to another translation of the Greater Bundaisen, there is a variation in the summit of Mount Alborz, which is not so according to the first version, Camarões will be just waiting on top, perched on top of Mount Alborz. However, this would be not the place where the bird perches, but the meeting point of these non-Iranian people to start their attack, which is a wee odd because you do not meet at the peak of a mountain to, say, start a revolution, but to each their own. Everything stayed the same for the rest of the tale, except this mountain detail. And also, Camarões has a companion and features in the Menori Gerard, which is another text, where it appears a co-worker of another bird that we're going to discuss later. And this version explains that when this legendary bird, very wrongly called the griffin bird, we're going to talk about that, don't worry, but for now, when this legendary bird, the griffin bird, arises to break off the twigs from the tree of many seeds and get the seed from them, Camarões alights as well in the vicinity to collect all the seeds and scatter them into the water of Tistria, the Iesada Tistria, which is a star, who seizes the waters and rains the seeds throughout the world, therefore allowing the world to be fed, allowing this transition of, the new seeds happening. The thing with the griffin bird is a thing. It is a thing, and of course I'm going to talk about it. But now I'm going to do something I should not, but I cannot be stopped, which is, I said, and I stand by my words, that none of the birds that I'm going to talk about today are depicted intentionally in any piece of work. However, the following one, the next one, is the one that served the most as an inspiration for what is now the big inspiration of my own life. Therefore, I'm going to use her as the image of the next example, but just let me see if I can find... My gosh, how I love you. How much I love you. And yeah, I'm talking about Simurg. Of course I am. Simurg. And I need a nice, beautiful... Look at this. This is gorgeous, isn't it? Can I open this in a new... Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Simurg is not the bird we're going to talk about now. The bird we're going to talk about is the Merego Saena, or the Sen bird. Saena is the most important of the sacred birds in Zoroastrianism and the one that Simurg has the highest resemblance to. Inside the 5 genera of animals, according to the Bundaisen, the 4th belongs to the winged creatures, not birds, but just creatures with wings. And Saena is said to be the largest of them all. She's also included in a 10 species formed by different birds, and she is at the top. Saena is at the top, and then follows Karshiv, the vulture, the eagle, some others. And according to the Bundaisen, Saena was the first creature to arrive into the world. All the beneficent animals were created by Ahura Mazda, and those came into the 7 regions of the world, the 7 climates, within 9 years. And I'm really going to try not to linger in this topic for long because I love it. But yes, spare me a thought. This is my thing, but this is mythology at its finest. All these creatures made it to the central land, and in the central land there was a cosmic ocean called Vorukasha, and this is the primordial waters. This is the waters where everything was created, and the rest of the birds followed Saena, followed her there. Despite being a creature made by Ahura Mazda and the largest of all birds, she is not considered to be the chief of all birds, because that's Karshifte. And the Saina, so many things to say about Saina. Saina plays a fundamental, pivotal role in the cosmic order and the cycle of regeneration of the earth. For she has the nest on the top of the sacred tree called the Tree of Many Seeds, or the tree opposed to harm, the Gaukerena, the white tree. And this tree grows in the center of a cosmic ocean. And in Borukasha, there's a very tiny wee island. And this tree contains all the seeds of all the plants that exist on Earth. Every year, Saina perches the tree and makes the seeds fall and mingle into the waters of the Borukasha. And then Tishtriya, which maybe is identified with another star you may know, Sirius or Canopus. Is that familiar in any capacity? No? And these Yazata will gather all the rainwater containing the seeds, and then he makes it rain on the earth. And this way, all the plants on earth are regenerated and can start the growing cycles again. And in the version, Saena is this griffin bird that one of the translations refers to. This is the creature that supposedly Khmer acts as an assistant to. Khmer helps Saena to deliver all the seeds and make them fall into place in the waters of Tishtriya. And the relationship with the rain confers Saena a powerful control over the fertility of the land, and basically the destiny of the whole humanity. Because let me tell you something, if we do not feed, we do not live. So you trusting with that activity which warrants survival of an entire species to a bird, that speaks volumes about the importance, the relevance of a bird in Avesta mythology. However, it could be a borrowing. The whole story about Saena, the tree, the rain, it could be a borrowing from other cultures. Why? Because the heliacal rise of Tishtriya, of Sirius, in July marked the beginning of the rains in Greek and Babylonian astronomy and astrology. However, it is not compatible with the climate in Iran, when the rains come in a different time. And I love that. Because that could be a borrowing. And it's very interesting. It's not found where the myth of Saena could come from. It is thought to be an original Iranian creation, but definitely the astronomical moment does not happen in Iran as it does in Greece and Babylonia. And I think that's fascinating. However, the ascent of Tishtriya was interpreted in the Mastian religion as a victory over drought and the demon Apausha. Fantastic myth. And therefore, the defeat of the drought demon would mean the end of the dry season and therefore the arrival of the rain. And I've talked about this multiple times. I love the Bundahisan. I love encyclopedias. They made half of my work over here. Not half, but maybe like 30% of my work in my thesis was reading animal encyclopedias. And in the Bundahisan, we have biological habits of Saena, which and we find a lot of contradictions, and that's wonderful. There's a chapter in the Bundahisan dedicated to the nature of birds, in which it is explained that Saena spends 40 days in a seed state, then 30 mixed, like in a mixed state, and finally 15 days in an egg formation until she's born. Which is weird because she's considered to be a species, therefore there must be progenitors, there must be offspring if there is a description of how she lays eggs. However, in mythology, she is referred to as a unique creature. You know, the bird Saena, the only bird. Another passage points at the Saena and the bat as the only birds that breastfeed their offspring, perhaps implying their nature as mammals. This is the first step that led to talk about Saena with the three natures, but we're going to discuss this in following weeks because these three natures things, but put a pin on that thought because the three natures matter, that is the origin of all evil and one that saw the birth of Eustaquio. So, really sorry. I don't want to stay in here any longer, but definitely we're going to discuss this in the future. Now, I'm going to show you my choice of bird in this one might be weird, okay? But hear me out. I'm going to use the same image for every single evil bird. And the one I chose is the seagull because there's not more vicious animal than the seagull. I don't know if you have the pleasure or the pain to live near seagulls. I do. And they're not nice. They're just not nice to be around. Possibly they're entirely misunderstood. But now we're going to talk about the first evil creature, the first evil bird in Zoroastrianism, and this is Kamak. Everything in Zoroastrianism has a counterpart. Everything, like every other creature, Cyanide is not an exception, and there is an evil counterpart called Kamak, which we can find in the cycle of stories of the hero Karshosp, also known as Garshosp, one of my favorites. The Menoy Herald lists Kamak as one of the monsters the hero Garshosp slayed, and then the Sadar Bundahism, which is like a shorter version of the encyclopedia, explains all the activities this noxious bird perform, and apparently, from the literature perspective, they appear to be the opposite of what Saina did. For example, Kamak would fly over the world when it was raining and all the water would fall on its wings. Therefore, the earth will be struck with a severe drought, and that made animals, plants, and humans die. Also, it covered the sunlight with its flight, sinking the world in darkness. And there's another reference to Kamak picking up humans and just tossing them around, and appears to be linked to Kamarush and the way he was, attacking the enemies of Iran. That is a very brief one. And another reference to Kamak is found inside the Zamyad Yasht, which is an hymn dedicated to the earth. There is a mention about a certain person called Barescava in the cycle of stories about Karshosp, and these creature is like a mixture between Kamak and another bird, which we are going to talk about later too, of course, don't worry. But that is not really clear. But here you have it, the very first evil creature, and don't worry, I promise you, we will talk about Eustaquio and all the three natures thing. And however, let me drink a sip of water. However, I would very much like to comment on the Griffin Bird translation, because when consulted, the translated sources preserved, where some authors keep the original word, which is Saena or Sen or Merego Saeno, which means the bird Saena, there's one particular translator that uses the expression Griffin bird. You, Bachar, know a griffin. A griffin is a Western mythology creature, a composite beast with the hinder quarters of a lion and the talons and the wings on the head of an eagle. There is no description whatsoever of Saena that points out to her being a griffin, not a single one. And it is important for us to mention this because it is exactly the same as calling Simurgh or any other sacred bird a phoenix. We need to understand the particularities of the stories, the symbolism as their own. Unfortunately, the tendency has been to compare those figures found in different mythologies with a Western parallel, especially when connected to the Greek or Roman background, and this action creates wrong assumptions, basically, and does not allow to understand all the cultures and backgrounds properly. Sienna is not a griffin. However, the translations we use are dated back to the 19th century. The choice of a word would have been so sharp, meaning they used that word as suitable to indicate this was a mythological creature. This was a supernatural bird. And the supernatural bird they knew is, a griffin. Therefore, there's no harm. However, as I always say, it is fantastic to use it as a first step, but then you need to go further and beyond, because if not, you're missing a lot of information, and the need for comparison, for tracing bridges and parallels, is not suitable for a proper comprehension of Iranian and Zoroastrian sources, because the epithet griffin bird is not useful and should be approached cautiously, bearing in mind that it is used to actually refer to Sienna. There is not a griffin bird. Not a single one of the birds I'm talking about today is composite. All the birds are fully birds. No mixed creatures. None whatsoever. So the griffin bird expression was much more of a choice of the translator than an accurate term for a sacred bird, in a possible attempt, I want to believe, to highlight the superiority of the other birds. And it's great until it's not great. I don't know if I'm going to continue. This is my fight. This is my discussion. And I'm going to continue repeating this until, well, I can't repeat it anymore, because I think it's very important to keep this in mind. And especially if we want to properly approach not only Zoroastrian sources, but just any other mythology that has nothing to do whatsoever with a Greek or Roman background. I think is extremely, extremely important that we deem respect to other cultures. And oh my god. And now, ladies and gentlemen, all right, so I'm not ashamed of admitting this, but every single person that studies either history, art history, archaeology, something like that, even people who don't study professionally those disciplines but are history enthusiasts, have a historical crush. They do. If they deny it, that speaks volumes. They do. We all have it. We all have a historical crush. And unfortunately, those who, like me, work with mythology, develop a mythological crush. And today, we're going to talk about my biggest, fattest, juiciest crush in the whole world, which is the Yazata Verefragna. Oh my goodness gracious, how much I love him. Verefragna is basically the Yazata of victory. He is one of the most powerful creatures and figures in Zoroastrianism. I mean, victory. Who could oppose that? That's it. I mean, he is victory. And he's a shapeshifter, which incarnates 10 different aspects, and his shape of a falcon or bird of prey produces magical feathers to aid humanity, something that was inherited later by, you guessed it, Simurgh. And Verefragna's 7th form is a dark bird of prey. This bird is described as the swiftest and the lightest of all winged creatures. Duh, of course. Again, he is the victory. And he can overpass the speed of an arrow when shot under his flight. And when he flies, the night is dissolved and gives way to daybreak. But Verefragna is also described as being able to traverse hidden paths in the mountains, to graze with his claws the highest peaks and the deepest valleys. And also he can understand the language of birds. How could he not? Again, he's victorious in every single thing he does. And, oh yeah, of course, cheers. Oh, you wrote his name beautifully. Good job. The text described these feathers, the feathers of these birds particularly, as all healing. They could cure any illness when rubbed about around the body, and also curses back the enemies. In the same way, it's like Verethragna, as the hypostasis of victory, transmits his undefeatable powers into the feathers of his falcon shape. Whoever holds a bone or a feather of this bird becomes automatically undefeatable. Undefeated, undefeatable, untouchable, unattainable. La leche bendita. Dios en patinete. I don't know how to explain that in English. The top of the most, of the toppest, of the highest, of the bestest. That is basically what the person carrying these feathers will experience. They would be respected and feared the same way Verethragna is. And the strength of the Yazata is transmitted upon the feather bearer, literally and figuratively. Because, of course, why not? I mean, it's him, it's the victory. He's going to make you invincible. And some incredible deeds of Verethragna as a bird are accounted. He's said to be able to carry chariots by himself, like the one. Do you remember Kaikavuz when he decided he wanted to fly? So he could do that on his own, and under his shadows they run the most powerful creatures like camels and horses, and the water from the rivers run. And he's also to be the one leading Theretaona, later known as Fereidun, before Ajita Hakam, so the hero could slay him. And in one of the verses, Verethragna is compared to the verse Saena, because both Verethragna and Saena could bestow the far. Well, of course, how unexpected. And the way he would do that is he would fly around the house of the worshipper, the same, and like gather some clouds, and then the far would be restored. And having Verethragna and Saena as equals states they are sharing each other's relevance as providers of far, which is something huge and massive. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, far is a divine glory that bestows upon the bearer the right to rule. If you have listened to the Rings of the Shahnameh, you know the far already. So that is exactly what Verethragna and Saena can bestow upon. And there's another feature, which is that Verethragna is also connected to storm clouds, same as Saena, because of the cycle of the rain. And he's just fantastic. It's just fantastic. And now we are going to change entirely the dialogue, because we're going to talk about creatures that might not be that liked in Zoroastrianism. All right, but let me tell you something. I love owls, but I love owls for all the wrong reasons, I'm afraid. I love owls because they're always angry. I love owls because, have you watched the film Pocahontas? So there's two owls in Pocahontas that just sit there and judge. They don't intervene in the plot. They're not fundamental for the narrative to unfold and develop, but they sit, watch, and judge. And to me, owls are just very angry creatures. And the reason I like owls so much is that these owls are so surprisingly the opposite to what in the West is considered an owl. This is a symbol of Athena. But us in the arena. Sorry. This is a symbol of the goddess Athena, and a symbol of wisdom, experience, a metaphor of sages and masters. The owl is the wisest and the smartest of birds in million stories we've listened to and enjoyed. And they also encapsulate, they encapsulate scholarly knowledge. These are the scholar birds. And however, it's not at home like that in Iranian mythology. In Iranian mythology, they're feared. They are stigmatized and sinister and macabre. There is in the Bundahism, the old creations of Angra Mainyu, the counterpart of Ahura Mazda, the main antagonist, is the dark spirit, because they belong to the 15 wallfish species. These are not considered birds. These are considered wolves, the Gur Sardaran, and they are rapacious, fierce, destructive thieves, just evil. They're bad, and comparing these birds to the wolves, which are the most feared monster in Zoroastrianism, already gives clues about the perception of the bird, this relation. Possibly this was due to the nocturnal life and the stealthy preying habits, since the night generally is very much associated with Angra Mainyu and their creatures. And these carried on in ornithomancy, which is the performance of magic to guess the future, to try and divinate the future using birds. The owl is always bad omen. It's bad news. You don't want an owl in your predictions. And it is incredible to me how awfully regarded they were. And I just wanted to tell you because I think it's hilarious. And also, owl in Persian is buf, which I think is very cute as well. So yeah, just wanted to share this because I think it's, again, I really think it's hilarious. And the owl appears again in the Avesta, and it's so good, so good. And we know those stories with the King Anushirvan and such. Oh, is this focusing? Focus on me. And now we're going to talk about something that I love. Oh, look at those faces. Oh, they're so cute. I'm going to die. I love these animals so much. They're adorable. Oh my god, how much I like them. Okay, so the next creature we're going to talk about is the bat. It's like a dog with wings. This particularly is a fruit bat from India, and my gosh, I think they're the cutest. I'm not even kidding with this. I do think they're the cutest creatures in the world. Look at them. Look at the nozzle. They're basically dogs or foxes with wings. The reason I included the bat in my research is, first of all, because it was listed as a bird species in Zoroastrianism, in the Buddhism, and second, because it appears that the translation of the special nature of the bat led to the confusion that we later would talk about as the Eustachiomata. Because some scholars were convinced that Saena and the bat shed some feathers. In the Buddhism, the bat was reserved a special chapter just for itself, and it was counted among the 110 species of birds. But the text specifies that they suckle the offspring and fly during the night. For this reason, alongside with its appearance, the bat was said to be classed in 3 genera of animals, different genres, as a mixture of them all. First, the dog, because they have teeth. Then the bird, because they can fly. And then the muskrat, because they dwell in holes. These 3 genera, or 3 natures, have created a high controversy regarding its relationship with Vitsaena. And it's one of the reasons why Eustachio was born, and the confusion around Eustachio was born. I know it's a very short mention, but I like bats, and because I like bats, I'm going to talk about bats. All right, following, we're going to talk about another species. Gosh, I love these creatures. Are you as big of a bird enthusiast as I am? Because I'm a big bird enthusiast, but I don't know if you are yourselves. I'm guessing if you are listening to this one, you might be. All right, so the next one is catechus, and catechus is beautiful. Oh, is this one? Oh, yeah. So in the text, the translators identified catechus with a black eagle because of its ability to see from the highest point in the sky. This allowed the creature to identify flesh that was touching the ground so it can feed on it and clean the earth. And moreover, the wings of catechus emanate musk essence when it flies, which refreshes the air from the smell of dead substances and erases the stench of the corpses away. Catechus is included in the chapter dedicated to the birds of virtue, as they don't kill other animals and act as cleansers by eating dead matter. They are, in fact, created as the opposite of noxious creatures, and the perfume they just liberate helps also the bird to deal with the bad smell or for the stink of dead meat. Makes the bird uncomfortable. In Zoroastrianism, the scavenger birds were taken in high consideration since they helped to process the cleansing of the bodies and liberating them from the noxious flesh, therefore revealing the bones that were considered sacred. If you want further information on that, you can check another video we have on the channel somewhere about the afterlife in Zoroastrianism. And since the funerary practices of Zoroastrianism were among them, consisted of placing corpses in places of exposure for the wild animals to devour them, the bones were purified by the sun and the winds, and they were gathered later to provide them. That the taking part, the importance of catechus is that they take part in the cleansing of the body, which is extremely relevant for the Mastian religion. And there are some chapters in other beautiful book called the Dodestan et ENG, dedicated to the explanation of how birds help to purify corpses, which is only a wee bit of an importance, like a reflection of the importance these creatures had in the Zoroastrian religion. And I think is very interesting because same with the owl, typically in Western mythology, birds of prey like these ones, especially scavenger birds, are not at all esteemed. They're not highly revered whatsoever. They are feared, and normally they act as harbingers of death and the sinister creatures, the dark creatures. Not so much so in Zoroastrianism, which is, among other reasons, I am a particularly big fan of vultures, and that is among other reasons why I included them on my thesis, because I wanted them to, have their beautiful poetic justice, because I don't think it's fair. They play such an important role. We're not even aware of those. Okay, the next one. The next one I don't have an image for because this is a weirdo, okay? This is the weird one. This is the Thorbara Bohuman or Ashozust. And this bird Ashozust occurs inside the Bundaisen and the Bendidat, connecting, I swear I'm not making this up, connected to the ritual of disposing nail pairings. When you clip your nails, those nails, in both works, an incantation must be recited before burying them in a hole outside of your house. If the ritual is performed accordingly, Ajozus will pick up the nail pairings to use them as weapons to fight against the Daevas. But if the incantation is not recited properly, as the nails have not been consecrated to Ashozust, the Daevas would steal the pairings and they use them as weapons to kill the bird. Because the sky's the limit. Hi, Serapis, how are you? And that's it. That's the mention to it. I just included it because I thought it was bloody hilarious. And apparently there's another version that says that the bird does not use them, like the nails. It does not use them as weapons. Rather, it eats them to prevent the Daevas from using them as weapons. And I Zoroastrianism is very weird. I'm really sorry. It's just, see, I like reading these things to you because I don't want you to take things too seriously. As you can see, these people did not take everything super seriously. Anyhow, apparently Asher Zeus is also able to speak Avestan, and that scares the Daeva away. And some people propose it could be an owl, but we've already seen that owls are not especially liked or well esteemed in Zoroastrianism, so I think that's unlikely. And it's also considered what's that? One of them is considered a Daeva, so it doesn't really make much sense. Okay, the next one. I'm going to okay. The next creature is not a goose at all. It's closer to a bird of prey. However, I'm going to use a goose because geese are vicious. Geese are vicious and they're evil and ill-natured. Because now we're going to talk about the only bird. I really like the story about this bird because it went wrong. It went south very quickly. We're talking about the bird Varigak or Varesha. Varigak is a bird that appears in the Bundahezen, and although it was created by Ahura Mazda, they are repentant and suffer for having given it life. Varigak's function is slaughtering and preying on other birds, also created by Ahura Mazda. Its character is compared to that of a man who's never content nor satisfied, no matter his wealth. However, Varigak is the lesser evil, because had Ahura Mazda not given life to Varigak, then Angra Mainyu would have created what the text call either the winged wolf or Varepa, a sort of monstrous creature who would not have allowed life to thrive on Earth. So in order to prevent that from happening, Ahura Mazda had to create Varigak and therefore condemn the rest of the bird species. What is that, not Ross? The afterlife is not in English? Really? Is it not? Well, I mean, maybe I have to upload it. I don't remember. So Varigak should be some kind of a bird of prey, possibly a sparrowhawk, which is this, and it's adorable. It's really, really, really beautiful. The sparrowhawk, and it should be something like this. And given that it preys on other birds, Varigak could have also been inspired with all the large hunters, like the golden eagle. And it's one of the few creatures that still performs evil deeds, even if it was created by the main deity of the pantheon, who is the hypostasis of all good. And that is a reason why I think it's so interesting, because it's a creation of Ahura Mazda that just went wrong and murders all the creatures. And this is, I tell you, the moment like writers discover Iranian folklore and Zoroastrian folklore, is just please write 1,000 novels for me, thank you, much appreciated. And the last creature we're going to talk about today is the white falcon. And this was a cute one. This is a cute one. Where's the picture? Where is my mind? There you go. And the white falcon, there are very, very few references about the white falcon inside the Pahlavi text. And in the translation, the bird appears only one time as a counterpart of a monster called the winged snake. This episode is longer explained in another translation, and according to the greater Bundahisan, there exists a serpent with wings that flies underneath the heat of the sun and throws stones to people from there, therefore killing them, as was be expected. And the white falcon was created by Ahura Mazda to fight this winged serpent, this noxious creature. Thus, it flies to the sun to encounter the serpent, and they fight to death. Sometimes the falcon is stronger and becomes victorious, but sometimes the serpent wins, as in defeats the falcon. However, it could be the case that these two creatures are equal in power and strength, so they fall into the earth, coiled around each other, dying in the process. In the Bundahisan, the winged serpent is included as the worst of flying creatures, and this is the reason for the white falcon to exist, basically. And from the text can be deduced that, contrarily to all the birds mentioned before, the falcon was not considered a special single animal like Saena or Kamak or Camarouche. This was a whole species, whose mission was defeating the monstrous snakes with wings and therefore preventing them to kill humans by throwing them pebbles from the sky. And that, Bacha, is everything I got for you today. Thank you so much for joining this long stream. I'm really sorry. These took long, didn't it? We've been here for a while, and but I'm very happy that you got to experience exactly what is it I do in my research. That is, I mean, this is mythology at its finest, and I'm just thrilled that I could share it with you. I am very excited about the research and all the nice birds I got to meet throughout the completion of my PhD. And now you know them too. Tell me, do you have a favorite? Which one was your favorite so far? Oh, thanks to you, Slothinator, for coming. I knew you were going to enjoy this one. I would say my favorite, but it's obviously very Ragnar, so. Haha, it went by flying, no soy Rose. So, thank you so much to everyone who chose this little corner of the internet to spend the afternoon. Thank you for joining me in one stream. Remember, next week we're not going to have streams. We're going to be pausing that. And things appear in the future. Bye, Nana. That as if I know I told you that we would do the reading of the Book of Kings on Monday the 22nd, but I think I'm pending on something, and possibly I would change that, but again, I will tell you over Telegram and Discord. So in the meantime, if you want to join the community over there, that would be class. You can do that. And just thank you, Macha. Thank you for coming to see me just blabber about my favorite thing in the whole world, which are birds in mythology. Thank you so much. And thanks to my patrons, of course, for being the ones that make this magic happen. And to the rest of you, say bye, Mamodreta. Come here. Again, this was original thought process compiled in my thesis. I really hope that you liked it. And I cannot go without reminding you to never ever stop creating, exploring, and having lots of fun. Until we see each other next time, Bacha, I bid you now, Khodafis.